We're going fishing for cybercrime today on Call for Help.
I hope these people can help me with my computer. Oh. No! A technician will be with you in 4 hours. 4 hours?
You can upgrade for just $5,000.
What?
The universal serial config board should be set to ID 6.
I need that in plain English. Help!
Leo Laporte at Call for Help. May I help you?
Hi, how are you? Welcome. It's good to see you. It's time for Call for Help. So get everybody together. Come on. Let's all get myself together. Family togetherness now. We're going to watch the show that helps you understand technology. This would be a good show to bring the kids in for because we're going to talk about protecting yourself online, a lot of different ways. Let me start by introducing the Call for Helpettes. Yes, Andy Walker and Amber MacArthur.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Hey, Helpettes.
Amber, do it too.
We should have a little cheer.
She just really doesn't get into it. She's going to be showing us how to protect our kids online.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give some tips for parents to help to keep their kids safe when they're in chat rooms.
I need this.
Yes.
I won't let my daughter go in chat rooms, but she does IMing all the time.
Yeah, IMing.
Yeah.
Yes, just some basics to teach them how to stay safe and how to protect themselves and not to give out too much information.
Good stuff. Kids today, that's all. IMing is it. You know, once you hit 12, boom, IM. Like crazy.
Yeah.
How about you, Mr. Cyber Walker?
Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to show you how to secure your Wi-Fi, your wireless internet connection.
Very important.
It's a very important thing, and I'm going to teach you all about WEP and WPA and all kinds of other fun acronyms.
Yes.
Oh.
And the Mounties are here. The
yeah.
RCMP.
I know.
Barry Elliott from the RCMP. He's going to talk about cybercrime. He created actually a group that helps people learn about how to behave online, right?
Right, and how to protect themselves, protect their identities online, how to defend themselves against phishing, and all kinds of other nasty cyber criminals.
Like ice fishing?
Yeah, not like
Not
ice
that
fishing.
kind of fishing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Fishing and farming with a
PH.
PH, exactly.
All right. So that'll be fun. That's all coming up. So this is a good show to watch if you want to protect yourself and your
Definitely.
family online. But right now, let's get our first caller of the day.
All right, we have Stephanie on the webcam from Windsor, Ontario.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
Fine.
Say hello to Basil.
Hi,
The
Stephanie.
lovely Basil. Welcome to the show. What can I do for you today?
Hi. I am asking you a question. I have a Pentium 2 computer,
Yeah.
and I would like to do put another hard drive in it. It's only 4 gigabytes,
Ah.
and I'm using it for a nonprofit organization. So
Okay.
there's not a lot of money in the.
And the till.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, is a limit to how much of a hard drive you can put into it?
Yeah, there probably is, and there are actually a number of limits that you'll run into as you get bigger and bigger. Now, you said a Pentium 2. You probably when you got that Pentium 2, that 4 gigabyte hard drive was partitioned into two 2 gigabyte hard drives. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and that was because the version of Windows you were using couldn't even see 4 gigabytes.
Okay.
So there are 3 areas where you get into trouble with hard drive size. There's the operating system, and there are all sorts of limits. Actually, I should really extend that to operating system and its file system. So FAT16, FAT32, and NTFS all have their limits to how big the hard drive could be. There's also the computer's hardware itself. The BIOS in the computer may have some limitations as well, and then the hard drive controller. The IDE controller will have some limitations. And you can run up against all of those depending on the age of the device. So the older the device, the more likely you're not going to be able to put a giant new hard drive in it. I mean, they didn't think, at the time you got that drive, they thought 4 gigabytes was the be-all and end-all. You'll never fill that up.
Right.
Wrong. That was before we had MP3s and big photos and movies, and now we can fill up a 120 gig hard drive without breaking a sweat.
Right.
So there are a couple of things that you should know. First of all, if you put a bigger hard drive in there, you can always do what the original manufacturer did, which is partition it into smaller drives.
Okay.
Are you still running the original operating system it came with?
No, I'm running Windows XP.
Good.
Professional Edition.
Great. So that will eliminate that 2 gig limit. If you format the drive with NTFS, then you really, your limit is now, depending on the BIOS of the system, it could be anywhere from 8 gigabytes Sometimes BIOSes are limited to 8 gigabytes to all the way up to 138 gigabytes. So somewhere in there, you're going to run out of steam.
Okay.
But again, anytime that happens, you just divide it up into smaller, logical hard drives at whatever the limit is. I want to guess on that machine that your BIOS is going to end at 8 gigabytes. But it's just a guess because it really depends, you know. The truth is, the original IDE specification, 512 was the limit, or really something like 524. You couldn't go any higher than that because they thought you'll never have more than 1,024 cylinders on a hard drive. Well, we do. So then they used software to trick it, and they were able to go up to 2 gigabytes. Then they ran up against FAT16's limit, and 4 gigabytes they ran up against the BIOS limit, then 8 gigabytes. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I'll put on the show notes a very good article talking about all the different limits. I would guess you're going to have problems at 8. So how big a hard drive did you think about putting in there?
40 or 60?
Yeah, because it's a laptop, you know, 40, you probably won't see much bigger than 80 anyway. 40, I would be willing to bet what'll happen. Now, it won't hurt anything. Well, you just won't see it all.
Okay.
So what'll happen is you put the drive in and you turn on the machine, and the machine says, hey, you've got a great big 8 gigabyte drive. And you say, well, wait a minute, no. So in order to use that, then you'll install Windows. And during the installation of Windows, it says you can partition it. It has a partitioner built into it. So it'll say, okay, well, I see 8 gigabytes, you know, and how much more. Also, sometimes software comes with these drives that makes it a little bit easier. The software can trick the operating system or the BIOS. What I would do before you do it is go on online and go to the website of the manufacturer, make sure you have the latest BIOS.
Manufacturer latest BIOS, okay.
Yep, because that oftentimes the updated BIOS will have higher capacity. You got already Windows XP. There's not much else you can do. I mean, it's a laptop. If it were a desktop, you could put a PCI IDE
Oh, it is
card.
a desktop.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was a laptop.
No, it's not. I just wondered, what about external hard drive?
Yeah, and then you don't have the issue at all.
You wouldn't know?
No. Now, don't get a USB external drive, a USB 1.1 external drive. That'll be too slow. Get at least USB 2.0, and if you have FireWire on there, that's the preferred way to do it.
USB 2.0.
Yeah. So I know that machine doesn't have USB 2.0, but those are not expensive cards to put in.
Right.
External eliminates all that because basically the interface and the interface in the box handle it all.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I completely misunderstood you. I thought it was a laptop. That actually is a little bit easier. You can even buy an IDE. If you run out of steam on your BIOS, you can buy an IDE card and put that in there.
Okay.
But there are limits. You keep running up against them. And I'll frequently get calls that say, well, you know, I have a 120 gig hard drive. How come it says it's only 8 gigs? Well, it's because your operating system or your BIOS.
Well, what I'm running into is I have to keep going and clearing my data.
Yeah, you don't have any room.
Because I can't run, I can't even do scan disk or defrag.
Yeah, you got no room on there. Yeah,
Oh.
You're full. There's a great article. I don't know who wrote this. It's at dewassoc.com, and it just talks about all the different size limits: the 528 megabyte limit, the 128, the 32, the 16. They're just all of these, limits that you run up against, depending on, what BIOS and hardware you have, and there's just a number of them. It's kind of amazing that we even are able to survive. That all of these drives. But I think you'll certainly be able to put a 40 in there. In the worst case, you just divide it up. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Nothing will catch on fire.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Leo.
Hey, thank you so much. What's the organization you work for?
Victims for Justice.
That's great.
We're
Well,
an advocacy group.
that's wonderful that you do that. And thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Keep up with your show. I really enjoy it. My father has turned me on to it.
Thanks, Dad. Take care.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Coming up next, we're going to sniff out the secrets behind cybercrime. Andy's got a nose for crime and tell you how to protect yourself from online fraud. Our expert from the Mounties when Call for Help continues right after a short break. Stay right here.
Over the years, your mouth has sipped, snacked, yellowed, lived, loved, yellowed, chatted, chewed, yellowed. And over all those years, your teeth have yellowed. Fact is, if you're not whitening, you're yellowing. Crest 3D White Strips remove over 10 years of stains by going below the tooth surface. And they whiten 25 times better than the leading whitening toothpaste. Crest White Strips. Life opens up when you do.
To many men, shaving can be a sensitive issue. But take comfort. It may not be you. It may be your razor. Upgrade to Gillette Fusion Pro Glide. Our micro-thin blades are thinner than a surgeon's scalpel to put less stress on your skin by gliding through hair. Switch to Fusion Pro Glide. Dermatologist recommended on sensitive skin. And now, introducing new Fusion Pro Glide Sensitive Shave Gel. Gillette, the best a man can get.
You know, sometimes it's not easy to spot a scam. What may look like a legitimate email or website could in fact be too good to be true. Well, today we're joined by Barry Elliott, who works with law enforcement groups to help the public recognize, report, and stop other cybercrimes. How you doing?
Hi, Andy.
So tell me, so cybercrimes, what kind of cybercrimes are going on out there today?
Well, there's a number of things that can happen to you. One of them is phishing with a PH. And
P-H-I-S-I-N-G.
yeah,
So it's not phishing, right? Not phishing like ice fishing like I was doing last weekend, right? That's me, ice fishing. This is a whole different kind of phishing.
That's right.
Tell me, so what exactly is it?
Well, basically, it's surfing, sending out emails, trying to get people to disclose personal information under the illusion that it's a legitimate agency or a bank that's sending you the email. You may or may not be a customer of the bank. They may be just doing a bulk, email out and hoping to hit a number of customers from that bank. So it may not be a specific list of information that's been stolen from a specific bank or institution.
So it's a spam email. It's a spam email.
That's right.
And so the email comes into your inbox and it looks like a solicitation from perhaps your bank. Let's say you're a customer of, I don't know.
Well, for example, this morning I got a call. CIBC is being hit, which is a Canadian bank.
Canadian bank, okay.
And of course, the idea is, the illusion is that it's a legitimate email that's coming in from your bank. There's been a problem. We need to get more information from you because you're at risk.
Right. So they say, "Dear Andy, we've had a problem with your account. Can you? Here's a link. Please click and verify your information."
Well, and of course, there's a hot link there which will take you to the CIBC site.
It looks like.
Looks like.
Right.
And of course, that completes the illusion that this is a legitimate email, when in fact it's not. So you go to a site that's actually counterfeit.
Right.
It's actually hacked. It's a hack site from somebody else that's then counterfeited into the CIBC site, and of course then they play out the rest of the illusion, trying to get you to give up credit card information or debit card information, such as your PIN number, and of course then you could be compromised.
So they say click here. It looks like I'm going to be clicking on the bank, mybank.com. So I click. Now in behind this coding that actually doesn't take you to your bank.com, it takes you to what a website in Russia, or
it could be anywhere.
Right.
I mean, you could be dealing with a website that's actually in North America that's been hacked, and but the information is going to a place in Russia or Romania or other places. So
when I click that link, though, what do I see?
Well, you're going to see what looks like a legitimate website for the bank that you deal with, and if you look at the address bar, it's going to show the legitimate, site address.
They do it through some special coding, or?
Yeah, that's right. So they can mask what that site's address to complete the illusion. But the bottom line is they're after your personal information, and when what we're telling people to do, first of all, was when you're dealing with spam mail, which is really what this is all about, you should delete. Right. You shouldn't even open it up.
So your bank is not going to send you a mail saying, please verify. That's just not something that they
It doesn't happen. They just don't do it.
Okay.
And so when you're dealing with spam coming in, you shouldn't open up unknown spam. You should treat it just like an unknown phone call or an inbound phone call. And there's a number of reasons why you should do that, because you could be, opening up your computer to spyware, Trojan horses, other types of things, or worms. Once you open it up, though, and you've opened it by mistake, and there's somebody trying to or attempting to get personal information from you for any reason, don't give it.
Right. But okay, let's say you do. Let's say you're not aware, you haven't watched this segment, and you go to this website, you fill in all of your personal information, you say verify. What happens? What's going to happen with that information?
Well, number one, you're at risk almost right away for identity theft or account takeovers or unauthorized charges on your credit
So now
card.
somebody has your personal information, your name, your address, your account numbers.
That's right, and as long as you're alive and you got good credit, you could be a victim at any time.
Right.
So the bottom line is what you've got to do is contact your customer service of the bank that you deal with.
Right.
Make sure you start taking the appropriate action to protect yourself.
But you may not know.
Well, that's right.
I mean, you think, oh, I've just basically told my bank all my information, I'm verified, I'm good to go.
Well,
so you have no idea that you've just been scammed.
Assuming you don't know at this point that you've been scammed, you will find out shortly.
And how?
And what's going to happen is when you go into your checking account or to withdraw some money, you don't have any.
Gone.
It's gone.
It vanishes.
So, and a lot of people don't realize with debit card fraud, they can take out up to $1,000 a day cash.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, and a lot of people also don't realize, if you have your debit card hooked up to your checking account and you also have it hooked up to your savings account, so I mean, if you can access it, so can the criminal.
Right, right. So now they're going to basically methodically clean house.
For as long as they can. They'll take out $1,000 a day for as long as they can, either until the bank catches it or you catch it.
Okay, so I don't know this. All of a sudden I see I'm being cleaned out. Now what do I do? Like, what can I do to defend myself?
Well, you've got to run to the bank and ask for assistance. Now, when it comes to debit card fraud, the problem you have there, you don't have the same protection as you do with your credit card. If you have any unauthorized charges on your credit card, you're totally protected. If it's a debit card scam where there's organized crime involved and they've gone to a lot of work where they have cameras and they have false fronts on debit machines, you're protected. If you give out your information on a phishing email, you may or may not be protected because the bank may deem you negligent for giving out your information when you shouldn't.
So you may be completely out of luck.
You may be, those losses you may incur personally.
Now, phishing is not the only way that they can steal your identity. There are many other ways.
The number one method of getting your identity is through corrupt employees at different institutions. That's the number one method.
So you're at risk online and offline as well?
Yeah, basically all of us are at risk every day of our lives because we don't have control over ID at these other institutions. The only way that you can really control what's happening with you and monitor your name and your credit is to check your credit bureau files on a regular basis. Not just once a year, not just twice a year, but if you can, ideally do it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Oh wow, that keeps you pretty busy. But you recommend that you go to your credit bureau and you check it on a quarterly basis. I know when I interviewed you about a year ago, that you said, and I actually started to do that.
Right.
So how do you do it? I mean, you can do that in Canada and Australia and America.
If you do it through snail mail, it's free, and you can do it in Canada as many times as you want. It's still free. You can go online, and you can do it for, I think it's around $15, $20, depending on what package you pick. But the problem with going online, you have to do both credit bureaus. You can't just do the one, because they both have different information. And that's good for about a 30-day period. If you do the 7-day, 24-hour thing, there's a couple companies that offer that service for you, and you can maybe get that service through the banks. It's $15 a month. And they monitor all your credit files at all the credit bureaus 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. If there's any hit on your credit, either a credit check or there's a profile change, like an address change, which is a key indicator, they'll email you so you can stop it right there.
Very cool. Thanks so much. So Barry is the creator of Phone Busters, which you can find out more about on the web at phonebusters.com. And if you'd like to learn more about the tips he recommended today, you can read them over our website at callforhelptv.com. You also find our quiz question of the day there. Today we want to ask you, when was radar technology first developed? In 1907? 1919? Perhaps 1935? Or hey, perhaps we're still working on it. We'll talk about the answer later in the show and when Call for Help continues after this break.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for a quick tip of the day. Did you know that you can make group email lists in Outlook so that you only have to send one email to a group of people? All you have to do is go to New, Distribution List, name your distribution list. We're going to call this the Call for Help Gang. And then select the members that you would like to add to this list. So I'm going to add Leo, Andy, and myself, and click OK. And then you have an easy way to send an email to more than one person at a time without putting all of their emails into that form. And now we have another caller. We have Howie on the webcam from Coquitlam, British Columbia.
I'm glad you said that.
I know. Barely got it out, actually.
Did she say it right, Howie?
Yeah, it was perfect.
Coquitlam.
All right.
Yeah, Coquitlam.
That's great. Hey, it's nice to see you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's a thrill to be on the show. I watched Call for Help 3 times a day, so it's a thrill to be on the show.
3 times a day? What can we say that would be worth watching 3 times in a row?
I have to absorb every little detail.
Oh, that's great. Well, Howie, I'm so thrilled. Thank you very much.
Oh, and thank you.
My pleasure. What can I do for you today? By the way, I just want to say something. This is a great picture.
Oh, I'm using the iSight, using the .Mac.
Should have known.
Yeah.
Look how good that is. That's just great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always trying to convince people to, hey, get a Mac and get a iSight.
It really does look good. Yeah.
Less choppy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what can I do for you?
Well, as I said, I work at home as an illustrator, and I work at home and as an illustrator, and I often have to send large files to clients.
Yes.
Usually about 200 megabytes or so, even when they're compressed.
Right.
And usually they have an FTP site set up, but every now and then someone won't have one available.
Right.
And I don't have the storage on my .Mac account to store such a file, to host such a file. So
right.
I was wondering what kind of other alternatives do I have to send those files, those large files, to individuals?
This comes up all the time, of course, because most email providers will limit you to as little as 10 megabytes in attachments. But 10 megs is nothing nowadays. I mean, people are frequently sending large files, and for business, you may send very big files. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Of course, you could set up an FTP site and send your clients in an email a link that they could download it from. If you had a website, you could put it on a website, send them a link, the same thing. But I'm going to show you a way that anybody can do, whether they have a website or not. It's really great. It's a free service. I don't know why it's free. I would think they would want to charge for this. It's YouSendIt. YouSendit.com. Okay. And the idea is, file too big for email? Try YouSendIt. It's free. You can send a file up to a gigabyte. All you do is you put their email address in, you select the name of the file to send on your hard drive, and then you upload it. You put in your email address, that's optional, and you put in an optional message, and you press send it.
Oh, perfect.
And that's it. And they will. And now obviously, they're not going to get a 200 megabyte file in their email. What they will get in their email is a link.
Okay.
And basically, what YouSendIt does is you're uploading it to a YouSendIt website, and they send a link to just what you would do if you had a website or you had an FTP site. They send a link to the recipient, and the recipient clicks on that link, and the file downloads. What's nice is they don't need to really know what's going on. You know, you don't have to tell them, oh, here's the FTP password or anything like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I was worried about.
No, yeah, this is idiot proof, you know, they scan for viruses. You should read their privacy report, but you know, they have good privacy policy. They don't, you know, their terms of service are good. I'm actually quite impressed, and I've seen people use this all the time for large files. In fact, that's how I found out about it. Is people would send me large files using YouSendIt, and it works every time. It's great. Now, a couple of things: it will expire. So you shouldn't, you know, you should, but that's, I mean, I don't think that's a big deal because you're sending it, they expect it, they'll get it, you know, the next day or so,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I think this is a really, now there are some commercial companies that do the same thing, you know, for a fee, and in fact, you could pay YouSendIt a fee, and they can give you more security and so forth. But I think, frankly, you know, considering that this is your money, that you don't want to spend any money,
exactly.
This is the best way to do it. YouSendIt.com.
Oh, perfect. I'll write it down. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because for a while there was a company called Whale Mail, and they were doing this, and you know, I've seen this come and go. XDrive. I don't know how these guys stay in business, and I often worry. But it's not like you're going to send them your only copy or you're uploading all your photos for them to store. It's just a one-time only thing. So if they go out of business, you'll find somebody else who can do it.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
I just want to introduce my girlfriend. I used to drive her crazy that I'd always watch Call for Help 3 times a day.
Where
now
is she?
She's become quite a fan. So.
Oh, she is? Oh, that's good. Let's talk to her. Where is she? Hi. What's her name?
Mary Jane.
Hi, Mary Jane.
Hi, Leo.
Thank you for letting us geek out with Howie.
And I'm working on my 8-year-old niece now. She's going to be the next big fan.
Oh, that's great. Well, if I ever meet Mary Jane, I'll give her an autograph. I often do this for spouses. I say, "Dear Mary Jane, I'm so sorry about Howie." but somehow we'll survive, you know.
She worked at airport security, so if you ever come to Vancouver, you'll probably...
I might have met her. I was in Vancouver the other day. I'll wave at her.
Oh, there you go.
That is the nicest airport in the world, by the way. That is a beautiful,
that is lovely.
beautiful airport. Wow, I was blown away. And the art and everything that's in there is just gorgeous.
Actually, I do a lot of my illustrating while I'm waiting for her while she's working, and it's a nice environment, yeah.
What software do you use?
Painter.
Oh, I love Painter.
I learned that from watching you on the Screensavers and Jeremy Sutton. And would come on using that.
Yeah.
So that was a...
Wasn't he amazing? And do you use a Wacom tablet or something?
I do. Yep. I have to upgrade soon, but I wouldn't have had this career if it weren't for this tablet or watching you or
That's
getting
wonderful.
the idea to do it digitally.
Had you so you'd studied in school, you'd studied drawing and so forth?
You know what? I always learned by myself, but I always hated how my lines were kind of messy, and I didn't want to clean it up back then.
Right,
but
right.
with the computer and the scanner and the Wacom, it's really changed everything.
Howie, send us a picture of you and Mary Jane. We'll put it. I mean, one that you drew, not a photo.
Oh, that'll be good.
And we'll put it up on our wall here.
Oh, that'll be.
Would you do that?
That'll be a pleasure. Yeah.
I would love to have that.
Well, thank you and Andy and Amber for making technology so much fun to learn.
It's our great pleasure, Howie. We're just honored that you watch.
Oh, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye. Isn't that, what a nice guy.
What a great guy, yeah.
So nice.
West Coasters, they're awesome.
Huh?
West Coasters are awesome.
West Coasters are awesome. East Coasters are awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
People in the Midwest are fabulous. Coming up, are you worried about malcontents connecting to your wireless network, rummaging through your holiday photos? We will show you how to protect yourself when we come back after this commercial break. Stay right here. Wireless networking is everywhere. Wi-Fi is all the rage. Everybody's putting wireless in their house, and why not? You don't have to string cables. It's fast. It works great, and you could get wireless networking everywhere. There's only one problem with wireless networking. All of your stuff is being broadcast to the great wide world out there. So if you're worried about security, and I got to tell you, the factory settings just leaving the way they are, you should be worried. Maybe it's time to bring in Andy for a security assay and fix.
Dun, 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 dun.
Andy's going to show us how to secure Wi-Fi.
Right, so you have a home network, right? You have a home network. You got one of these babies, a home network router.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. But you know what? As you said, it comes out of the box and it's not very secure.
No, there's all sorts of things wrong with it out of the box.
So how you...
Which is, by the way, what gives us a bad reputation. And a lot of businesses won't use Wi-Fi, and I think they're mistaken. I think you can make it every bit as secured as a wired network, which is not 100%, but much more secure.
You sure can.
But you've got to do something.
I'm going to show you one trick you should do absolutely.
First thing.
And that is change your administrator password and password on the system, because the default ones, I can guess them, you can guess them.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows what they are. I was out in the parking lot the other week, and I went into somebody's Linksys router. I'm like, well, it looks like a Linksys. Oh, yeah, sure it is.
Admin.
And admin.
And they're in.
In I was.
What is it, admin, no, admin?
Admin as the password.
Yeah.
Blank admin, and then the password is admin.
And then admin.
Anyway.
So change that. That's put a good password. Don't put just don't put your dog's name. Don't put Tinkerbell.
No, that's right. Did somebody do that?
Yeah, somebody did that. Don't do that.
No. Okay.
Don't use your kids' names, your birthday. Use something obscure, mix of letters, numbers, punctuation as obscure as possible.
Capital S, EX, sex, 1, 2, 3. No.
No.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Don't use
It's
sex.
the first one I try.
Okay.
Every time. Sex 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Is that your password?
Yeah, it's mine. Damn.
You better change it. Now.
Let me show you how to get into the router.
Okay.
So you can have the router has an IP address inside your network.
This will be in your manual.
This will be in your manual somewhere.
Linksys is 192.168.1.1.
Yeah. D-Link I think is .0.1.
Netgear is 100.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
100.1.
Somebody's got a 2.1.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've changed ours here in the studio. This is the D-Link one. I changed it to .10.1.
Oh, and that's another thing. You can change it, can't you?
You can change it, yeah, exactly. Not that you have to. So as soon as I hit it, I go into the control panel, which is sitting inside the D-Link router. Now,
there's a little web server in the router, and this is what it's doing.
And this is actually a web page that comes out of the router. Exactly. Now, it's different. The admin and password configuration is in different places.
Looks different for everywhere.
For everywhere, but you can figure it out just by looking in your manual, as I said. In the case of D-Link, it's under Tools.
There it is.
And you're just going to change, this is currently says admin, and then there's a blank password, even though it actually looks like there's a bunch of stuff in there.
Right.
So I just type a new password, a new admin, and then click on apply. The router will restart. You're off to the races. You're one step into a more secure Wi-Fi.
Step one, change your password.
Right. Number two.
Step two.
When you talk from your computer to the router and back again wirelessly, that information is wide open, wide out there. And all I need is a little piece of software to sniff that.
It's great.
I can see what you're saying to your grandma. I can see the naughty messages you're sending to your spouse.
All the pictures.
All the pictures, all your banking information, and perhaps other naughty things.
Maybe you shouldn't tell people about this, because that's one of the fun things I like to do.
Is that what you like to do?
For a weekend, I'll drive around.
I know. There's not much to do in Petaluma, is there?
No. So that's, please, let's not tell them this. Oh, all right. Tell them.
Okay. Again, this is going to be at different places for different routers, but in the D-Link, click on Home. Click on wireless, and you're going to see a bunch of weird-looking stuff.
This is unfortunate because this scares people off.
Right, it does. There are two standard encryption protocols. One's called WEP, which is kind of older.
Wired Equivalency Protocol.
Bleh.
That's something.
And essentially, when you choose that, you're going to enable it.
It's so complicated.
And you're going to type in a key.
So cuckoo.
And the key is going to be typed into the computer at the other end. And it's a real pain in the bum because there's a bunch of hexadecimal codes and nobody can remember them. So
Plus, it's been cracked.
It's
not good.
And in fact, I always talk about WEP as being like a paper door.
Yeah.
Right? Looks like a door, but you can kind of put your fist through it, right?
Through it. All they have to do is sit outside for a little while and they can crack it.
Right. Now, if your router is kind of newer, it will have something called WPA.
And you may even be able to update the firmware in an older router, because a lot of times they're offering this now as a fix.
That's right. Now, WPA is kind of cool because what it does is this goes all the way over to WPA PSK. You watch what happens. You're going to see
much easier.
It's going to ask you for a passphrase. So if I type in
you could use a word like a password. A phrase is better because it's just
call space for space help. Right?
Not a good passphrase.
No, but
it'll work for us.
Call space. Oops. Call space for space help.
That's your passphrase.
Right? That's your passphrase. Now I'm going to remember that, and I click on apply, and now the device is going to restart. And what's going to happen when I'm going to try to reconnect to this? Windows has this built in. So it's going to say, "What's your wireless passphrase?"
And you enter call for help.
And you enter call for help, and bingo.
Very simple.
What's really cool is you can tell your friends that, and they can come in, and their Windows, how does it work in Mac? Does Mac natively identify? Yeah, and ask you for your passphrase.
And if you enter the passphrase, you're in. It not only does it keep people from getting into your system, but it keeps them from monitoring the traffic because it's now encrypted, going from your computer to the wireless.
And it's much stronger than WEP.
Yeah.
Much stronger. In fact, it's business strength.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
change the password. Turn on WPA.
Right.
If you don't have WPA, do WEP at least.
Right.
Better than nothing.
And that will get you most of the way there.
I'd say that's 90%. There are a few extra things you could do, like MAC address filtering, that sometimes businesses like to do to restrict who can try to log in.
Right.
I don't recommend turning off broadcast IDs.
No.
That doesn't seem to help. In fact, most cracking software can find the broadcast ID whether you put it in there or not. So it's in every packet. So I think those three things, that's all you have to do. But I'll tell you what. Go to the website, callforhelptv.com, and there's a description there. You also will probably have to look at the manual that came with your router, because it's different for every router.
It is. But
do it.
Do it.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, just do it. In the words of my friend Andrew, do it.
Do it.
Do it. More of your calls coming up. Stick around. Don't go anywhere now. We'll be right back. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. When was radar first developed? That's our quiz cheese question. And you know, a bonus question, what does radar stand for? 1907, 1919, 1935, or actually it hasn't been invented yet. We'll get it any day now. Go to the website, give us your answer. We'll talk about it. Call for Help continues. Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, we asked you when radar was first developed. We're not talking Radar O'Reilly here. We're talking about, radar.
Radar.
What does that stand for?
Rapid Area Destruction.
I don't think so. I think there's a radio in there somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to guess 1935 would be my guess, and I would be absolutely correct.
It was a pre-World War II.
Yeah, yeah. Fascinating, the history of radar. And someday we'll go into that. And I would look up the radar, but I can't get online because you've put WPA on all our computers, and now I don't know the password. All right, it's time for a little computer Q&A. You ready? How many programmers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know.
No, it's a hardware problem. Doesn't take any. Hey, speaking of problems, let's see if we can help out our next caller with their problem. Amber?
All right, we have Barry on the line from Kamoka, Ontario.
Hello, Barry.
How are you, Leo?
Mocha. It's getting towards the end of the show. I'm getting a little ready for my cafe, decaf, half-calf, mocha cappuccino. What can I do for you, Barry?
Listen, Leo, I downloaded that Yahoo desktop search there that you guys recommended a month or so ago.
And what do you think?
I think it's an excellent program.
Changes your whole life.
It does. However, now I'm seeing all this junk on my computer that I never knew existed.
You didn't know it was there.
Yeah. And one of them is this MSN chats that the kids have.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't want to see, and I'm sure they don't even know exists. And I'm just wondering if there's a quick way of deleting that or not having them show up at all.
Absolutely. Although, I have to say, how old are your kids?
Well, one's 15 and one's 19.
I'm not sure you want to turn that off because you could search for some keywords in there and you'd be able to figure out what they were up to, if you know what I'm saying here.
That's exactly what happened. Okay?
And you wish it hadn't.
I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see that, he says.
I don't want to see it, no.
All right.
So that's all I was wondering, if there was such a thing.
Yes. So let's first show you this. I mean, this is amazing, the Yahoo desktop search. Absolutely free. It's based on X1, which is a really incredible, powerful search engine. And as you know, Barry, I'm not telling you anything, but you can, it'll index any file or whatever. I can, for instance, here's my email. If I type the word ANDY, it immediately zapped. You saw how fast it found all the emails with the word Andy in it. Well, and obviously, if it were searching other files, that could be embarrassing if I have naked pictures of Andy. So we're going to make sure that we don't index things that we don't want to index, and that's actually very easily done, Barry. You go to the tools and options, okay? Tools menu, options, and we can totally control what files are indexed.
Oh, I see.
So we go into the indexing area and we click files and more indexing options because they kind of hide this. They don't want to make it too visible. You can do it two ways. One, you can say don't search this folder or that folder or this drive or that drive. Okay. So if you know where those logs are stored, just say, you know, on this folder, don't index it. And that means it will not show up in the search at all. Or you can do it by extensions. So if, for instance, I don't know what the MSN log extensions are, but if they're kind of unusual, you know, msn.log or whatever, you could specify, say, don't search those. These are all the extensions that it does search currently.
Okay.
And you can add and remove extensions as well. So there's two different ways to do it, either by extension if it's an unusual one. If it's not text, I wouldn't do it. If it's not log, I wouldn't do it. But if it's, you know, something weird, maybe. Otherwise, just remove that folder from the search list.
Okay, well, it's amazing. Like, the music part is just amazing how to play a song without even having to open up another program.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Oh, fantastic.
Because
I just wanted to say the computer I'm using is one that I won from you and Patrick 3 years ago on a Gateway giveaway.
You?
On the screensaver.
I
think I was the only Canadian to ever win one, and I just wanted to say I'm still using it, and it's fantastic.
That's great, Barry.
Yep. It's a beauty computer. It was like their second edition Gateway. It's silver with LCD screen, silver and black. It's just beautiful.
And just, you know, okay, this was what, a couple of years ago?
This was in March of 2002.
State-of-the-art computer, right?
Yes, it was at that time.
What's the processor in there?
It's a 1.6.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
Yep.
Pentium 3 or 4?
Pentium 4. It was a Pentium 4.
Oh, well, that's not bad. That must have been a $3,000 or $4,000 computer when we gave it to you.
It was. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it even got past customs and got over here, and all got here in one piece. So
I always thought Canadians couldn't play in those contests.
Well, that was the thing. I was one of the first ones to ever win one, I think.
And then that was it, the last one, too, probably.
Yeah, I think it was.
The lawyer, you see, it's the lawyers. It would, Hey, if it were, you know, with my choice, anybody could win. But the lawyers always get involved, and they say, well, you know, the rules in Canada are different. How are we going to ship it to them? What are the customs going to do? And by that time, they say, you know, it's just easier to take it out. Well, I'm glad you won.
Yeah, it was quite an amazing thing, and it was on a show where you were really technical, and I was supposed to have to answer a question, and I was taking notes like crazy, and I thought, I'm never going to get the answer. And then it ended up being Martin in behind with a sign that said cream corn. That's all it was, and I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, it was a wonderful evening. Anyways, I won't keep you any longer, but thank you very much.
Barry, it's great to reconnect, and congratulations once again, and thank you for calling.
Okay, sir.
That's great. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? And what a nice dad. He doesn't want to see his son's chats. See, if it were me, I'd make sure it was indexing those.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see them at all.
You don't want to see them? You don't have to
Boys will
read
be
them, though.
boys.
See, the search is great. You could just enter in, you could say, well, let's see what they're up to, and, hot chicks. Oh, my goodness. And that way you'd know. No?
Right.
All right. Well, all right. Hey, it's time for a little FYI for you. Are you ready? Did you know that Mikey used to work with the FBI? And he always works to keep his top secret documents absolutely private. With today's free file, he can show us how to do that. This is recommended by the FBI.
Federal bikini inspectors, right?
He has a business card, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It says that?
International Exotic Spy.
That's it, International Exotic Spy. All right, so what are you using now? This is a Windows program.
This is a Windows program. It's called Eraser.
It used to be Tovanen.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
No, it's...
Somebody's picked it up.
Yeah, I forget which one it is. But anyhow, it's one of the most fantastic programs.
Yeah.
People don't realize that when you put things in the trash and erase them, you don't actually erase them.
Even if I empty the trash?
You empty the trash, it's still there.
It's still there?
It just doesn't see it through Windows.
No.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
So you can use a program like this, which will write over the data with ones and zeros that will completely erase it. Some say you could use a microscope and you could still figure out what was on it. But if you're going to go to that point,
I've asked real experts. And they say, no, you don't have to. Yeah, we would always on the screensavers talk about filing it down, put
smashing
press
a disk. Yeah.
This is good enough.
Yeah.
This is Eraser, and it's free.
And it's free. And this is great for, say, for instance, you're finished with the computer, giving it to a family or a friend, or even donating it to a charity. You don't want your personal credit cards and your other information out there.
Please use something like this.
Exactly.
Now this runs in Windows, so it can't probably just do the whole drive.
It can't do the whole drive, but if you erase your personal data, for instance, emails, data, documents, and stuff like that.
Right. Well, and something else it does important, actually, if you reopen that window, it will also erase the swap file. And people don't realize that because the swap file is always running, data is, and this is, I was told this by the U.S. Secret Service, we just look in the swap file, and all the stuff is still there.
Definitely.
So make sure you erase your page files right there at the bottom.
So you get any number of options in terms of erasing all kinds of information, shell extensions, stuff like that. I'm going to go over to this next one here, and this gives you the level of protection you're doing it. 35 passes means it writes over the data 35 times, each piece of data, and it's called the Gutman wipe, right?
Because Gutman was a complete nutcase. He said, if it doesn't do it 35 times, I do not trust it.
And then there's U.S. Department of Defense standards. There's 2 of them, 7 and 3. I use 7 because it's,
Seven's plenty.
7's plenty, and when you're erasing stuff, it's,
even 1 is plenty.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
7, big deal.
Just to feel safer,
Yeah.
And essentially, you can run it in the background. It'll just race over data that has been, trashed already. So you're not erasing anything on your
this is always
computer.
running.
You can have it scheduled so it runs by itself. So every day, at 12 noon, it goes and erases any unused data area.
So if you put it in the recycle bin and you've emptied the recycle bin, then it will erase it after that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the one other feature it adds is when you right-click on your recycle bin now,
you now have
you'll
a
notice
safe delete.
You now have a erase recycle bin as opposed to this empty recycle bin.
And erase is what you want to do.
Exactly. And then that uses the same standard you used before in terms of 7, 3, or 35 times.
A must-have free
Definitely.
file. I've told everybody to get it. Thanks to Tolvanen for creating it, and whoever it was that picked it up for keeping it alive, because it's a great program. Coming up, thank you, Mikey.
No problem.
Are your kids getting to that age where they're making new friends online? You can find out what you need to know to keep them safe. Amber's got some pointers coming up next on Call for Help.
My kids aren't that
We got to keep you safe online.
Yeah.
You're our kid.
Yeah.
Amber and my child, our love child. I tell you, kids these days, they're so used to chatting online. They have a hard time understanding that internet buddies they've never met personally are still strangers and dangerous. Amber's here to run through some rules to avoid stranger danger.
Exactly.
Keep your kids safe.
Keep your kids safe. So this can apply to for parents who have kids who are using chat rooms as well as Messenger as well, instant messaging program.
Good, I need to know this because my daughter is big.
On all the time. Yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of parents is their kids are constantly on Messenger and in chat rooms and chatting away and meeting all these strangers.
I won't let them go in chat rooms. That scares me because anybody can go in a chat room.
Exactly. That is a little bit scary. At least with Messenger you have some
it's
security.
Somebody you kind of gave your name to.
Hopefully know. Yeah, exactly. So I found this website called safetyed.org, and they have this really great list of tips for parents for allowing their kids to go into chat rooms. So the first one, which I would never have thought of, is to actually position the computer somewhere in your living room or somewhere where the monitor is turned out, so you can kind of observe what they're doing.
I say that all the time. Keep the computer in a public area. That's where you get in trouble, is when it's in their bedroom.
When it's in their bedroom, or it's concealed, or they're able to kind of hide behind it and just do whatever they want to do. Exactly. So that's one good thing to do. Also, they talk about working with your kids to set boundaries. So actually work with your kids and say, you know, how much time do you need? How much time do you want? And also, this is another excellent tip, is to talk to if you don't know anything about messaging, you should get your kid to explain to you how to use Messenger. And so to actually set you up with a Messenger account and to show.
That's a good idea.
I know, it's a really good idea, so that they understand how it works, so the parent understands how it works. So when you see them playing on it, you have a sense of what they're actually doing.
I'll give you a ground rule that I use as part of these boundaries. I say you may chat with people you know in real life, but you may not chat with people you have not physically met.
Exactly.
That's where I'm worried they're going to get in trouble, because I tell my daughter, some of these people say they're 12-year-old girls. They're not.
Exactly.
They're 48-year-old guys who are creeps.
They're creeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another tip as well that they mention, is to make sure that your kids know that people are not who they say they are, unless you, like you said, unless you know them. So this is particularly important if a kid is in a chat room and if they're meeting all these different people, to just be a little bit careful. I would actually caution against kids going in chat rooms at all.
Instant Messenger is different from a chat room because it's a one-on-one conversation.
Exactly.
They can create chat rooms with their friends, but it's not the same as a public chat room where anybody can go.
Anybody can go
If you've got a chat room, a public chat room where kids hang out, who's going to go in there? Predators.
Exactly.
They say that's where the kids are.
Yeah, so they'll go in there and then you hear all these horror stories about them trying to meet up with the kids. So just make sure, you know, if your kids have to go in a chat room for some reason, make sure that they stay safe. The fourth thing is to, again, you know, set limits for internet chat, because, you know, some people say that it's addictive and kids can be on all the time, which I think, you know, to a certain point is probably
Very
true.
much true.
You know, like you were saying to me the other day about your kids, you know, they're supposed to be doing their homework and they're also on Messenger and they're doing their homework.
They can't stop.
They can't stop, really.
Well, you're a perfect example.
Yeah. I can't stop. I know, you're right. I'm on Messenger all the time. I always get busted by my mom because I'll be on the phone and I'll be on Messenger trying to multitask, and she'll say, "You're not paying attention to me." So, you know, tell your kids.
Yes, Mom.
Yeah, I know, and then you're kind of distracted. So, you know, set limits for your kids as far as them being online.
I think that's very good.
So then, you know, the last thing to make sure you tell your kids is to tell them that if anything happens while they're in chat room or they're using Messenger that is kind of creepy or scary and frightens them, to make sure that they communicate that to you.
That's
so that
a huge rule.
That's a huge rule. So you need to make sure that your kid has a lot of trust in you and is able to tell you, because, you know, a lot of them will be afraid and they'll continue the conversation and they'll keep that buddy up. But
then they get stuck and they don't know what to do and they don't know.
Exactly.
They literally have no way out.
For sure, and they feel like they've really done something wrong. So it's important to tell them that they, you know, they can trust you and they should express to you if anything's happened that is kind of, you know, unusual. And
secrecy is the real threat here.
Exactly. So, you know, those are just there's 10 tips online, but those are kind of the top 5 or 6 to make sure that your kids stay safe. And I'd say it's important even to go to this website and print out these tips and paste them near your computer and have them there, so, you know, both the parents and the kids understand.
Yeah. Safetyed.org.
Safetyed.org, and we'll put a link to this on our show
I don't know who this Ed is, but he's very safe. To learn more about keeping your kids safe online, visit callforhelptv.com and click on the link for Amber's show notes. She'll have a link there to Safety Ed and a lot.
Definitely.
Hey, a couple more minutes. Don't go away. All right, you can go. You can get something to eat. You can go to the bathroom, but I want you back in your seat for our next segment. It's going to be a doozy. Stay right here.
This year.
Hey, welcome back to Call for Help. Want to remind you we have a newsletter now. Yay! And it goes out every day. So if you want what we talked about today, what's coming up in future shows in your inbox every morning, sign up for the newsletter. It's absolutely free. No salesman will call. Just go to the Call for Help website, callforhelptv.com, and sign up. And while you're there, click the link that says Ask a Question, because that's how we get callers on the show. So you fill out that form. You can email us questions, but I'll tell you, it's not going to be as effective as you fill out the form, because that's got things that we need to know: when you're available, what your phone number is, how we can reach you, that kind of thing. And that's what we need to be able to get you on the show. So please do that. Callforhelptv.com. You can email us. We love getting email.
Definitely.
In fact, send us pictures too.
Pictures are great. You can send them to me at amber@callforhelptv.com.
Good point. Videos.
Yeah, send us videos. We'll use them like as bumpers. You know, come in and out
Call
of the
for
show.
Help will be right back. Whatever. It's something like that. We'd love to get that.
That'd be cool.
Andy at callforhelptv.com.
Yes.
Amber at callforhelptv.com.
And I'm Leo at callforhelptv.com. And we are so glad you were here today. Please come back tomorrow, will you? Remember, if you've got a problem with your personal confuser, don't whine, don't moan,
Don't yell.
just call for help. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.